So
Yeah, for sure.
if you can tell the viewers, listeners, and us a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Louis. I'm from the UK. I'm 20 years old, and I currently reside in Vietnam, which is kind of strange for someone my age from the UK. And I work in remote sales, and I'm also like a remote sales coach, helping beginners break into it and like break into a new remote job in remote sales specifically. It's mainly what I do.
Now, how did you? Remote sales was that something you found recently? Was it something you've been doing for a long time?
No, so when I got into it, brand new, knew nothing about sales. All my past jobs were not about sales at all. I've never worked in any customer service kind of role, so it was very new to me. And I've never really been the kind of person to enjoy doing kind of salesy things. So yeah, it's very new to me. But I just got out of my comfort zone, to be honest, when I first got into it, and I've probably been in it almost a year now, like knowing about the space anyway. That's probably it.
And why Vietnam? One thing is moving into remote sales, but what got you to Vietnam?
Vietnam was, well, there's a long story behind that, because my brother lives, well, originally my sister went traveling about 8 years ago. She came here, and then my brother decided to come and live here. So it's kind of like an effect on with family. My brother's lived here for like 6-7 years on and off, teaching English. And I came out when I was 13. I loved it. It was like my favorite holiday I've ever been on. So I was like, when I was 18, I was like, I'm coming back. That's pretty much it. And then I decided to stay longer because I just loved it.
Now you're in central Vietnam, is that right?
A little bit further down, like I'd say, yeah, some people say it's central. I'm in Quy Nhon, so it's like below Da Nang a little bit, between Nha Trang and Da Nang. So yeah, kind of central, yeah.
And you originally traveled to Vietnam with the intention of staying for a long time, or with the intention of traveling a little bit and then returning, and then you decided to stay, or what happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, when I first moved here, I had no idea what I was doing. I was 18. I didn't have a job. I just had money saved up. I was almost 19, so it was like just before my 19th day. And I just came here, lived with my brother in Bac Giang near Hanoi for like 6-7 months, going to Hanoi for like trips, and didn't really travel at all, just living, just enjoying the lifestyle. And then went back to UK for 6 months. I was like, damn, I got to get back. So let's find out something I can do online. Tried loads of different things, and then I came across remote sales, got a job very, very quickly after I like put a lot of effort into it. And then I just came back, and then was a bit more independent and lived on my own this time, and then with my girlfriend as well. And then we moved down south.
So your current remote sales position, you actually found that while back in the UK for that 6 month time frame.
Yeah, I did. And then 3 weeks later, I flew back to Vietnam.
And then you had to get acclimated with the time difference, obviously, in Vietnam while working the UK. That other job is a UK time zone.
No, I actually work for a company right now, and the company is in the US, so the hours were still a little bit weird, but not awful, because the US and UK is not too different. It's only like 5, 6, 7 hours different, depending on the part of the country.
Yeah.
So how does that work out for you? I mean, are you good with working strange hours? I mean,
yeah. I've always been a kind of like, when growing up as a teenager, I was big into gaming, so I was always staying up late nights, and so I'm used to that kind of thing.
That makes sense. It makes sense. So how long in total have you been doing remote sales?
In total, I'd say the first time I started learning about it and having like a coach was coming up to it's like 11 months now. So I'm still pretty fresh into it, to be honest. And then I got my first job in August, so it's July, August time. So yeah, 10 months around that.
So you started right away reaching out to a coach and getting the proper training once you figure out you wanted to pursue remote sales.
It was actually a little bit different. I got pitched, so actually sales pitched about remote sales, and he was like, oh, I just saw you follow me. If you want to do like, what, are you in remote sales? Or I was like, oh no, I'm just looking around for some remote jobs. Then I just hopped on a call with this guy, and then he just sold me completely. It's kind of funny.
And this was the guy who became your coach?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember last time we talked, you spent some time talking about that as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your development and what this coach did exactly that helped you and etc.?
Yeah. The main thing at the start was obviously just making sure I was completely set up in terms of outreach to companies, to make sure I was looking professional enough to get a job, and all of these kind of things on the back end, because obviously you have to make it, when you're in sales, you need to be able to present yourself and speak to people. And if you can't do that on an interview, and you can't do that through like a 1-minute video introduction, then they're not going to hire you. So that was a big thing that he helped me with. And then obviously we did some sales training. But to be honest, like once I landed my job, I learned a lot more, because you're actually doing the job itself, which makes you improve a lot quicker. And then the guy who owns the company that I work for now is also like another coach for me. So that's another good thing about sales. You'll often have like another coach. If you get into a job, you'll get trained again, and get more aspects and more different angles on sales. So it's perfect, really.
What percentage of your competency is attributed to coaching, and then the other to the actual practicing. What do you think then the ratio would be?
What the specific role, the specific coach that I had originally? Is that what you're asking to him?
I'm thinking no. I'm asking you consider yourself pretty good at remote sales now, right? So
Yeah.
What percentage of your current skill sets would you attribute to the results of a coach as opposed to actual the day in day out?
Well, I'd say it is pretty like 80% coach, 20% practice, to be honest, because but I've actually learned more from learning the job, but then me and the guy who owns the company I work for, he's coached me through the real stuff that I've done. So it's kind of a mix of both, because I don't really speak to my old coach anymore, like only a little bit, because I've got this other guy, who's like live every day I speak to him. So I don't really need the other guy at the moment. Like if I was to move on to another company, yeah, I've still got the other guy. But this guy right now, who owns the company I work for, he's giving me that like 80% of coaching, because we're just doing like call reviews and things like that, and just looking at the progress. So it helps a lot.
So you have taken your remote sales journey to a new level, right? I remember the last time we spoke, we talked a bit about starting coaching people yourself, and I think you've taken that to heart, or maybe you already had a bit at that point, but definitely now, right? So can you talk a bit about this new level that you've taken your journey onto, right? Coaching other people and teaching other people how to move into remote sales.
Yeah, so essentially I started doing some social media content, and I was getting some good traction. So I was just like, a lot of people were messaging me saying, oh, what are you doing for work? How are you able to live in countries and travel and work at the same time? And yeah, you guys mentioned it. You guys give me that bit of a kickstart to say, you know what, you should give it a go. And I was already like midway through building something out, like on the foundation, and then I just really went into it after you guys said something. So March was my first proper month of like launching it, and I just took advantage of it, and it did really, really well. I've been able to help a couple people already. It's only been a month. Well, actually February I started, I'd say, but March was my first proper month. But yeah, it's going great. I think you guys helped a lot, to be honest, giving me that kind of kickstarter. Yeah.
I mean, listen, all credit to you. I mean, I can give you, we can sit here, Alex, and I can give you ideas all day, but you still need to take the first steps. Yeah. Going back to my question earlier, the reason I asked about the relevance or the relevance of a coach is, can somebody, I want to help the listener kind of feel comfortable in understanding that even if you don't have a background in remote sales, you don't consider yourself a quote unquote, salesperson, can you become successful if you have the input and the interaction with a coach who can review, how you're making calls, analyze and make suggestions for improvements. And I think because a lot of the people within the VietAssist community, have chosen a career path. Some are still trying to figure out what to do next if they're currently thinking about what to do. And I, wanted to bring you on today, obviously, to introduce remote sales as a viable and legitimate career path. Yeah. For those who are open to learning something new. And I think a lot of the doubt, if any doubt, from the listener is, all right, I've never done this before. So Louis mentioned he had a coaching program. How is that going to play a significant role in my success? So that's why I wanted to go back to the whole question about coaching and does it really make a difference? And you mentioned 80%. So if somebody came to you right now from the community and said, hey, this sounds cool, I definitely want to do remote work. This is something that I can see myself, but I don't have any experience. Do you feel confident based on your experience so far that you can transfer that knowledge and somebody who has no prior experience can actually excel remote sales?
Yeah, I do, because I was in that exact same position, and it doesn't actually matter about experience as such. Even just getting your foot in the door, because like a lot of people say in this space that the ones who hard work, that you've got a lot of talented salespeople naturally, but the people who work hard in sales are always the ones that outperform those kind of naturally talented people. So as long as you actually put some effort into getting into the space, then yeah, 100% anyone can do it. With you may have to have like a tiny bit of experience in like another aspect. Like if you've just come out straight out of like, I don't know, you're like 18 years old and you've never had a job before, you'll struggle a little bit. But if you've just worked in normal spaces and just had normal jobs like everyone else, then yeah, you can definitely transfer any skills, because sales is such a wide range. So there's so many different things you can transfer over to sales, if that makes sense.
So coming back to what Anand said, if somebody comes to you, if you're dealing with a complete beginner, somebody who has, they may have worked a couple of places, but they have no real experience in remote sales. What, in your experience, is the kind of the first thing you have, or you tend to have to focus on when helping them develop? What tends to be the primary or first couple of steps that people need to take?
When it's a beginner, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. What's the first thing you would focus on when helping somebody develop?
The first thing I think I would help a beginner is going over just the basic things to start. Like, we'd have to start from real scratch, see what type of experiences they already have in terms of their jobs. If they haven't had too much, that's fine, as long as they've had something, even if it's the smallest thing, or helping like the family business when they're younger, or maybe they've tried like a side hustle on the side, like anything you can relate. And just making sure that things like your resume and those kind of things are all built out properly, so you can have that kind of remote sales related resume instead of just having that normal resume, and having the key points to why your past experiences could relate possibly to a remote sales role. And then obviously there's other tactics when you can, like I said, you can send out videos of yourself to hiring managers, which is very popular in remote sales. And if you're presentable enough, then why won't they hire you? You know, it doesn't really matter on the experience, it matters who you are and if you're willing to work hard. And also the keywords that you say in these videos are very key as well. So that's the sort of things I would help to start with, like start from scratch with a beginner.
How much does, apart from these things that you just mentioned, how much does something like mindset matter in your coaching? Is that something that you focus on as well? And do you help people build discipline, resilience, etc., which is obviously something you need to have success in any field, right?
Yeah, I actually do. I should probably add some more things add some more information on mindset, but I definitely have added a bit, and like I definitely try and help with that while I can, because obviously when you start applying for remote jobs and you start learning a skill and then you don't really see much from it within a week, you can feel pretty burnt out depending on what type of person you are. Like, I definitely felt that burnout 2 weeks into applying for jobs when I first got into it, and then the third week came across and I landed one of the first jobs that I applied for. I actually landed that job. So you just have to stay like disciplined, you're right, and just keep going and keep pushing, because if you just keep applying in the right places, which you have guidance with from coaches, then you're definitely going to land a good solid role, as long as you've been set up properly. And like it took me 3 weeks to get a job, but I had to wait those 3 weeks because it was one of the first jobs I applied for, which was the one I landed. So it's also about patience as well, which is something you definitely need to learn and keep consistent.
I think pretty impressive that you landed that job, because you're 20 now, so when you had applied for that job, you were 19. I'm going to assume that your resume was very limited in experience, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to say my resume was like, I just leveraged it as much as possible. Like, I had a couple jobs in the past. Like, I was currently working in a warehouse actually when I tried to get that job. Like, a warehouse, come on, that's nothing to do with sales. And then I just leveraged some like little side hustles I tried in the past, and also I did some English teaching in Vietnam for a little bit. Like, just leveraging small things as much as I could, just to help me get that role as fast as possible, and it actually pretty well. So there's the proof.
Is that something you do as well? Teach people English or guide people in their English development?
Oh, that was just teaching some students. I got offered when I was the first time I came to Vietnam, so the first 7-month period. I just met a friend in the gym, this Vietnamese guy, and he said, "Oh, do you want to teach some kids for a bit of money, like once a week?" And I was just like, "Sure, why not?" So that was like just a cool experience that I had, which I could leverage a little bit.
What's the somebody signs up for your program? How long does the program last, and what can they expect?
Oh, there's a lot. It's actually very, very because it's pretty like fresh, like a couple months in. The price is affordable, which is the one thing that I want to make. That's the most important thing, because coaching in this remote sales is very expensive most of the time. And obviously I've only been in it a year, and I'm not as good as these guys that have been in it for 3-5 years, the 30-plus-year-old guys. So that's one thing. And to expect is there's not a time period. Like, it's full time forever. So you have me forever, however much it is, even if the price goes up in a couple weeks or couple months, couple years. So it's like a full-time access to a community, as well as one-to-ones with myself, of course, like weekly, maybe 1 or 2 hour calls, depending on schedules, because the time zones can be different. And then there's obviously lots of documents and resources to go through, as well as the one-to-ones with me, because applying knowledge through like videos and things like that is good, but you need that guidance one-to-one to actually move forward and make proper progress. So yeah, that's like a kind of a brief overview of what you could kind of expect.
So once the program is done, then somebody who's been taught by you or signed up for your program, they still have access to you whenever they need.
Yeah, whenever they need it. Yeah, no, it's not like a time period like 3 months and see ya. It's forever. So I've got a guy who I've had in since the start of February, and he's landed a remote sales job, and I still talk to him now and still help him now and again. So yeah, just full-time access nice. I think that makes it a bit better and a bit more comfortable. Even though I do want people to I don't want people to get too relaxed, saying, oh, I've got full-time access, I can just kind of be lazy now and sit around and just put like a job in a day vacation. But like that, maybe if it was a time period, it would give them a bit more drive to be quicker. That's up to them at the end of the day. You have to have that distance.
So yeah, okay. So everybody understands that somebody who doesn't have an experience, is curious, interested, can reach out to you, go through your program, still have access to you on an ongoing basis. What do you, we've established that. What's your take on remote sales now, having spent the better part of the last year, evolving in it, getting better at it, seeing how the industry is kind of moving about? Are you bullish on where remote sales is going over the next couple of years?
Well, in terms of the industry, yeah, I think I don't know how long it's been around. I'm assuming a long time, but I think remote sales is like really lucrative, like insanely lucrative, because it's a remote job. Most of these places you can work from anywhere in the world, you can travel and work, and then it's super easy to get into with the right guidance. Like, especially even if you get a job at first, which isn't even the best pay for yourself, but maybe if you're a Vietnamese person, it's going to be much better than if it was for like someone in the west of the world. So if you're Vietnamese and you can get into it, I think it's very, very, very good as well, because to a Westerner, the pay might not be great, but for a Vietnamese person, it's going to be way better.
What are we talking about? I mean, just a conservative base level, somebody starting out supposedly in Vietnam with limited experience, and they can land a job as a remote sales specialist.
What, in terms of pay?
Yeah, in terms of pay.
I'd say, well, it really depends. Like, it really, really depends. For anyone, it could be anywhere from like a $1,000 base plus commissions, and then they are not capped on any commissions with this, which is the best thing, because a lot of sales, like real sales jobs in real life, you get capped on your commission or shared commission across a company. Whereas this is, I'd say 1,000 is like the lowest you can go. That's the lowest I've seen. But then obviously you get some roles for beginners who might have to just go straight in with like a commission only job. But then it takes a couple of weeks and you could just build up your resume and just get a few weeks of experience and just take a bit of a risk. And then once you've had that few weeks of experience, it's better than nothing. And then you could just go and get a base salary or a base job or a salary job, and then you're going to be set and you're going to have a bit more stability. So that's kind of what I suggest, to get like a base job first.
So how much of the compensation in total, in your experience from your own work, has been salary based, and how much has been commission based out of a total monthly income?
I'd say, well, it depends on what industry you sell for, of course. But for me personally, I'd say it's just about the 60. A lot of it is base. Like, I'm pretty lucky. I get a good base pay. I get taken care of. But I'd say it's like 60-40 for me, 60 base, 40% commission. But it can range. Like, some people could be like 10% base, 90% in commission. It really depends.
All right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And I think 1,000 base is, for somebody in Vietnam, that's a great start. That's a great start. It's a solid start. And of course, if you're good at what you do, then the commission side can be very lucrative over the long term.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. 1,000 base is solid. I haven't seen too many. Like, that's kind of low. I'm lowballing it a little bit just to try and be a bit more realistic. But like, most of it I see is 1.5. But like 1K, I'd say for a very, very beginner, like a very beginner, is going to be 1K base. But like, if you've got a little bit of experience, maybe you sold some things in your family business, or you've worked in customer service, then you can definitely get like a 2K plus commission role.
Yeah, I think honestly, Vietnamese people are born good at sales. And they're
competitive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
So, Louis, I have one question that I wanted to ask before, but I forgot it. What do you think are some of the most common mistakes or misconceptions that people have about remote sales, right? Because a lot of people out there might be sitting now thinking, I would like to move into remote sales, but it might be based on a false premise or a false understanding of what is actually going on in that kind of field. What most common misconceptions, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I don't really know, to be honest. Like the in terms of misconceptions of remote sales, I think it's just having a bit of a lack of knowledge on what it actually is, because there's a lot of different types of remote sales you can go into. Like, the one that I specifically teach is going to be high ticket remote sales. So that's when you're getting taken care of, because if you're not selling a high ticket, you're going to be earning way less.
Can you define for our listeners high ticket sales?
Yeah, so you'd essentially be selling a high ticket, normally service, you could say product as well, which could be like $2,000 plus. So then when you earn commission of a 5 or 10%, or sometimes even more, then you get like a big chunk of that. Well, in your eyes, it's a big chunk. For the company, it's not. That's what makes it valuable, is this high ticket. Because if you land a remote sales job, which you're selling something for $100 and then you earn 10% commission, you can't really scale that as quickly as you can with a high ticket service. So that's one thing, is people need to target those like high ticket roles, which is very, very realistic, very, very easy. There's a like difference between the two. And then I don't really know. I don't think there is too many misconceptions. In terms of, I think it's just having a lack of knowledge of what remote sales actually is. Like I often get messages from people and they're like, what are you selling? And I'm like, I don't know if they're asking me like thinking that I'm just selling things online like myself, because remote sales is kind of a vague thing to say. Like you don't really know what it is when you say just remote sales, but it does include obviously talking to people on the phone, or you could work in a role where you just message people, which I don't really teach. I don't teach because that's kind of, you don't really progress your skills very fast if you're just texting people. So it's just a lot of like calling people, taking calls, sometimes face to face, but not often for me. A lot of them over the phone and sending emails, things like that, but fully remote, which is great. But yeah, misconceptions, I don't really know if there are too many other than that.
All right. So in your work as a coach now, are you, I mean, the way that you help people develop is mainly through conversations, or do you also offer courses? Have you created courses, or how exactly is your programs?
Oh, that's a good point. So like what you can kind of expect from it, I'd say I have a server. It's currently on Discord. I'm looking to transition into something a bit more flexible, and it's provided with like 30 plus videos to go over. So there's like modules of each section. So there's like introduction for the beginners, just like a couple videos, just telling you what remote sales is, what like the mindset, what you guys mentioned earlier. Just a few like videos in there to just introduce you. And then there's a massive section on how to land the role and like how to stand out when you land your role, deep diving into all of that. And then there's the actual sales part, learning sales, the psychology of sales, like all of that kind of thing. And then the last part is about interviews, and then a bit more of the mindset thing again, and like kind of preparing you properly for your interviews, because, you know, like I said earlier, you're going into a sales role. If you're like getting into an interview and you're all like shoulders over, like really like shy, then you're not going to get hired. You need to be presentable and that kind of thing. So that's another thing that I help with, is like kind of interview training. And then alongside the videos is the one-to-one and the community access, which obviously is building slowly. But yeah, that's kind of what to expect. So there is a lot of guidance. I've put a lot of effort into it.
Now you're focused on people around the world, or Vietnam specifically? Are you open for?
I am focused on people around the world because it's been very hard for me to specifically do Vietnam, considering I just take anyone who messages me. No, I'm only kidding. But I do have 2 Vietnamese people on with me right now, which is good. One guy fully Vietnamese, one guy maybe half. No, I don't know. But he lives in the US, and then one guy lives in Saigon. So yeah, I've got a few familiar faces in there, which is cool. And I also have, oh no, I've got 3 Vietnamese people. My bad.
That might change after this episode, by the way. Don't be surprised.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so I do have like the foundation for the Vietnamese community in there, which is good.
I think it's going to come down to marketing. I mean, I don't know why there shouldn't be 20, 30, 50 people in your community from Vietnam, and hopefully we can help you with that. I had asked Alex earlier if we should mention it, and I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to be rolling out sometime relatively soon a new product within VietAssist service called VietAssist Pro, and we have right now a vetting service, a headhunting service already up and running, but we want to also introduce a service where we have the top 1, 2, 3% of our community that we've already vetted, and if an employer reached out to us, then we can offer them a person ready to go for a flat fee every month. Now, if somebody had a year or less experience, it'd be something like $2,500. We don't know what the final price yet, but something around that range. And if they needed somebody for a year and beyond, then it'd be X amount. But if you can get really busy with the remote sales and building up a team, then we can definitely partner together, because I know that the demand, at least from my side, for remote sales is very high. I've had a couple of people recently reach out and ask specifically for remote sales specialists within Vietnam, and so maybe there's room for collaboration. If you can go out there and get these guys up and running and make them into remote sales killers, then we can definitely put them into the program, because we're looking for solid, vetted. You don't have to be somebody remote sales for a year or 2 or 3 or 4. It can be somebody fresh, but someone who's ready to go, and that's somebody that we can confidently set up with an employer who just doesn't want to do any vetting, but he just said, I just need somebody who can start in the next 1 or 2 weeks and ready to go, solid, and I can do, and is dependable. So we'll talk more about that following the podcast. Wanted to throw that out at you, and also also let our community members know that this is something that Alex and I will put together some videos and some marketing material, but it's coming. Yeah.
So the message to the community, everybody who wants to be in remote sales and want to belong to the elite within this field is pretty clear, right? You go to Louis, you get trained, you come back to us and get hired. quiet.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. That sounds good.
All right, man.
Perfect.
I think we've covered pretty much everything we needed. Yeah, listen, following this thing, we'll make sure to put out of your handles, social media handles, so people can
Yeah.
reach out to you if they're interested. I think personally, Romance is awesome, just because you learn a lot of skills, and in life you're selling everything. You're selling all the time, and at a minimum, it helps you become a better communicator, and here potentially in this scenario, potentially pursue a new career that can be very lucrative. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, you're right, for sure. Yeah, it's actually helped me become more confident as well. Like, I hated picking up the phone. Like, my friends would call me like, hey, you want to come hang out? And I'm like, I'm just watching the phone ring. I'm like, I'm not answering that. I never used to answer the phone, but now I'm talking to people on the phone every day. So it's kind of like coincidental. But yeah, it's made me way more confident, and my communication's got 10 times better. And it's only going to get better because I'm still talking to people every single day. So you're right.
Yeah, man, honestly, sales is everything, man. It's if you want to get married, you got to sell yourself, right? You want that job promotion, you got to sell your value. And I think if you want to convince children of something, I have young children. Alice has a young child. You got to be good at influencing other people. So absolutely. All right, man. Listen, it's been fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on a call with us. And I think what you're doing is very smart. I think you'll go far. It's awesome that you're so damn young and already have a game plan and a project to work on. Yeah, sheesh, man. I don't know what I was doing at 20. Definitely not what you're doing. So awesome, brother.
Sounds good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
All right,
Louis, thank you for your time. I just want to say I think it's amazing that you took it to heart last time we spoke, and I know you were already building something, but no, I mean it takes a lot of backbone to just to take the leap into something like that, right? And I think you're definitely going to be successful at it. But first step is to do something, right? And that's usually where most people get filtered out. So amazing. I think more good luck with everything. But I'm sure that we're going to probably communicate a lot over the next few months and years, hopefully.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, cool. But that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and take care.